What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm going to be bringing you another Battle of the Blades. Today it's going to be a front flipper face-off, and I have quite the array of candidates. So let me go ahead and introduce today's fighters. First up is going to be the Artisan Cutlery Sirius. The Sirius has a 3.54 inch AR RPM 9 blade steel. Very, very good blade. Has a 4.5 inch G10 handles. Overall length is a very long 8.04 inches and weighing in at 3 ounces. So that is our first contender. Next up is going to be the Civivi Imperium. The Imperium has a 3.47 inch Nitro V blade steel. It has 4.36 inch carbon fiber scales. Overall length coming in at a very respectable 7.83 inches and weighing 3.15 ounces. That is our second competitor in today's blade battle. Next up is going to be the QSP Gannet. The Gannet has a 3.25 inch 154 cm blade steel. Let's see if I can get it to the camera. There you go. It has 3.5 inch handles. This one has micarta with carbon fiber bolsters. Overall length is a very nice 7.75 inches, and it's coming in at 3.4 ounces. Next up is actually going to be a tag team, and I'll explain a little bit more after I introduce these two. First up is going to be the Kubey Royal, coming in with a 2.99 inch D2 steel, 4.29 inch G10 handles for an overall length of 7.28 inches and weighing in at 3.32 ounces. And his tag team partner is going to be the Kubey KU321 with a 3.27 inch D2 steel blade, 4.5 inch G10 handles, overall length 7.76 inches and weighing in at 4 ounces. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the rules here. So these two are going to be consolidated categories. The reason I thought it would be wise to do this particular tag team versus the rest of the competition is because this is under 3 inches, so it does give someone that might have some sort of restriction on blade length something to root for in this battle. And then if you're looking at a Kubey that may be a little bit longer, or if you're wanting something that has a little more cutting edge, a little more blade length, that's where the 331 would substitute in. So they're interchangeable, and hopefully as I start to go through the categories, they'll kind of make sense. So I've broken these down, and we're going to start with materials being blade, handle materials, etc. So first we're going to talk about the Artisan Cutlery. The Artisan Cutlery has the, again, 3.54 inch AR RPM 9 blade steel. The AR RPM 9 for me has performed really well. It is Artisan Cutlery's in-house blade steel, so they do make that in-house, and it is a powdered metallurgy, so that does make this corrosive resistance. Now, as far as performance, its performance is slightly a little bit above D2. It has less edge retention than D2, but it is tougher than D2, and again, it is not corrosive. So considering all of those elements, the length of the blade, the grind being really thin and very suitable for an EDC knife, it has a nice swedge, lots of cutting edge, a very well done drop point. It has a very good sharpening choil. It is slightly off the plunge grind, just enough to give you quite a few sharpening, I feel like, without running into that plunge grind, but eventually we'll run into it. Having said all of that, I am giving the Artisan Cutlery Sirius a 2 for their AR RPM 9 blade steel. And actually, before I go any further into any of these, I do want to mention the fact that all of but the Kubey have different, so they all have different options and features. So you can get different handle materials on the Sirius. You can get different handle materials on the Imperium. You can get different handle materials on the Gannet, and you can get different colors of the G10 with the Kubeys. So you can mix and match. Only the Sirius offers you upgraded blade materials as you get into the higher or upper tier of that particular blade, and the Imperium offers G10 in a more affordable price, but only Nitro V. So that will come into factor later. I do want to just up front acknowledge that fact that there are some differences. Next up, we're going to talk about the Civivi Imperium. Again, this one has the Nitro V blade steel. I'm not going to keep rattling off the specs, otherwise this video may get drawn out. It is a very well done coated blade, nice EDC, super thin behind the edge. Almost feels like my fingers are about to touch as I go out and feel that edge. Very, very nice and slicey. Nice wedge out towards the tip. It does have a nice sharpening choil. It is pretty far off of that plunge grind, so I really do appreciate that, and I do love the performance of Nitro V. It's very tough and has excellent edge retention. For the fact that they decided to go with Nitro V for this front flipper, I did give them a 3. The QSP Gannet, again, it does have that 154 cm blade steel. I really like this one. Very tough, very good edge retention, corrosive resistant, easy to sharpen. It does have a little less of a sharpening choil, but the plunge grind is angled enough to where I think I could get quite a few on there. But the 154 cm does respond really well to stropping to get back to its edge, and I really like the look of this particular blade out of all the ones out here because it does have that side to side satin grind, and I think that looks really cool. I feel like it gives it a little bit more of a premium look. So for the 154 cm blade choice here, I did give them a 3. The Kubeys both coming in with a D2 steel, so it doesn't really matter which one you pick up. They both have the D2. D2 does have excellent edge retention. It is not a super tough steel. It does perform well if heat treated correctly, but you do have to worry about corrosion. So for the D2 steel choice, I did give them a 1. Just not as good of a steel as the others on this table. It is fine for the money, but I'm just looking at the steel at in this particular category. So the Artisan Cutlery has a 2, Civivi has a 3, QSP has a 3, and Kubey is lagging behind with a 1. Next, we're going to talk about handle material. The Artisan Cutlery in this particular variant at this price point has G10. It is a slick G10 with a little bit of ribbing, so you do have some grip, but it's not the best. So I did go ahead and give the Artisan a 2 for the G10, but again, you can step up and get some micarta with the AR RPM 9 for a little bit more money, and you can even get a titanium frame lock with S35VN if your heart desires. If you really love that knife and you love that blade shape and the ergos and everything on that, they do offer a premium variant of that, and I think it even has a little bit of micro milling on it, which is impressive because that does add to some good, confident, inspiring grippage. Now on the Imperium, you do get carbon fiber in the more premium variants, and they do have the black with the gold, the black with the silver, and you can even for less money get the Imperium with G10, which is really nice. They did a really good job with the texturing on it, so it is very grippy. Because of the fact that I do like the carbon fiber, and the carbon fiber is contoured, and I really like the way that it looks, I think they did a really nice job with it. It looks really premium. I did give them a 3 for that carbon fiber finish. With the Gannet, this one here is probably one of my favorite on the table. It does have that really nice soft feeling micarta. Really feels nice in hand. It looks like wood grain, and it's very nice. It does have a snakeskin type texturing to it where it's not super aggressive, but it is grippy. And then also the same thing with this carbon fiber raindrop bolster. It is tacky, so it does have some grip, and it is seamless. The transition between the carbon fiber and the micarta is seamless. Very well done. I did give them a 3, and they do have different colors and different materials matched up there on that Gannet as well, so a nice variety. So I did give them a 3. On the Kubey does a really good job. Apparently I picked up some dirt. off my table. I don't know what I was working on. Who knows? Hard to say. But it does have really good jimping on here, or stempling, or whatever you want to call it, texturing. Really good, and it is on both of these. It's just unfortunately my camera has a harder time picking it up on that jade, but it does have the exact same jimping that you do see on this denim blue G10 here, and really well done. So I did give them a 2. So where does that put us? That puts us with the Sirius coming in with 4, the Civivi Imperium coming in with 6, the Gannet coming in at 6, and QSP is starting to gain some ground, now coming out with 3 points. Let's talk about what's in the pivot. I'm not going to go through all of them individually. They all have ceramic bearings in the pivot, and they all have very good action. Now, the lock bar and lock bar access does cause that action to differ a little bit when you're retiring the blade to the closed position, but when you're opening it, very smooth, very nice. So I gave all of them a 3. They all have fantastic action. So that brings the Sirius up to 7. That brings the Imperium up to 9, the Gannet up to 9, and it brings Kubey up to 6. So Kubey gaining that ground. Now let's talk about the pocket clips. There's 2 pieces to the pocket clip. It is both the material it's made out of, and how it is approached, as far as being able to enter it in and out of the pocket, and it is whether or not it is reversible. So I do have to go through these each by their own category. So I'm going to start with the materials. This one is probably the most premium because it actually gives you a milled titanium pocket clip even on the entry level version. It is really springy, and it does go in and out of the pocket very smoothly one-handed, so I did give it a 3. The Imperium has a very pokey stock pocket clip. I did change it out to the old Elementum style pocket clip, which does take that goose bill down so it doesn't hurt in hand, but going in and out of the pocket, really smooth, really good action, and it has a good amount of spring to it, and it clears all the way to the deep carry part of the pocket clip with no issues. So for the pocket clip, I did give it a 2 because I don't think it's as premium as the Artisan, but it still functions very well. Same goes for the Gannet, the exact same. It is a different styling as far as appearance, but as far as functionality, exactly the same as the Imperium, so it also got a 2. As the Imperium, however, from a functionality standpoint, I didn't have to swap this one out, and it is very comfortable. It does goose bill up, but it's not nearly as tall as it is on the Imperium, so it functions really well. So from a functionality standpoint, working standpoint, going in and out of the pocket, I did give this a 3. No, it is not titanium, but it is better designed than the Imperium, so I didn't feel like it constituted a 2. For pocket clip functionality on the Kubeys, I did give them a 1. While it is not pokey and it does go in and out of the pocket fine, it always catches because they didn't give enough clearance. So I always have to push a little bit further in there, or it's really just going to be sticking out this far instead of this far, which is a big difference. So I do feel frustrated by that fact, and hopefully Kubey fixes that in future iterations. Let's talk about the reversibility. The Artisan is not reversible, so the Artisan got a 1. The the Imperium, if you get the G10, it is reversible, but if you get the carbon fiber, it is not. So I split the difference on that depending on which variant you get, and I gave that a 2. I gave a 1 to the Gannet because no matter which variant you get, it is not reversible, and I did give the Kubey a 3 because they are all reversible. So I did break that category out because I wanted to specify functionality over versatility in this particular category, but at the end, now with both of those added up for the totals, the Artisan is at 11, the Imperium is at 13, the Gannet has fallen and lost some of its lead, is now at 13, and Kubey gained the most ground here, coming up to 10. Now let's talk about carry size. From a carry size perspective, as far as the length and carryability, I broke this into two categories. Again, the size, how much pocket real estate it takes top to bottom to be able to put junk in the bottom of your pocket, and then weight. So Artisan got a 1 for the size because it is the largest, and it got a 3 for weight because it is the lightest, giving it 15 total. The Imperium, I gave it a 2 for the size because it's the second largest, and I gave it a 3 for weight because it's the second lightest. So it is coming out at 18. For the Gannet has the second smallest size. Actually, no. Yeah, the second smallest size. So this is where I got a little hung up when I was trying to figure out how to do this. The Gannet, if you're just looking at the 331, is the smallest. But if you're considering the Royal, it's the second smallest. So I did a 3 for the size because it is the smallest depending on which one you're looking at. But I gave it a 2 for the weight because it is actually the heaviest, but it's still under 4 ounces unless you're looking at the 331, which is 4 ounces. So that wouldn't be the heaviest. So again, depending on what knife, trying to be fair about that particular category. And then for size, I did give the Kubeys a 3 because they're, even if you're looking at the Royal, you're talking about 7.76 inches versus 7.75, and then the handle length, if you're looking at the handle on the Gannet, it's 3.5 versus the 331, which is 4.5 inches, and then the Royal is 4.2 inches. So the Gannet's still smaller, which again is why it got the 3 on the size, but on the weight, it was really close to these two being the heaviest, but still at or under 4 ounces is really good. So none of them got a 1. So just to recap that, just in case I got you all mixed up right there, the Artisan, after considering size and weight, at 15, the Imperium, after considering size and weight, at 18, the Gannet size and weight, after size and weight, is at 18, and then the Kubeys are at 15. So hopefully that kind of made sense, because depending on which one you're looking at, it may or may not be the smallest. But I just wanted to say, from like a length perspective, when you look at overall length, it's relatively close, even if you're talking about the inches. It's very, very marginal, the difference when they're closed and in pocket, unless you're looking at the Sirius. The Sirius is by far the longest. So just to kind of give you that length closed up in the pocket when you're carrying it against all of these, and why I still felt like the Gannet, even though these two are close in length, even though these two are close in length, this is just smaller in profile. So hopefully that makes sense, and if not, it's just for fun. So hopefully nobody gets too bent out of shape on that category. Now let's go through and talk about the ergos, and I'm going to spend just a moment on this one because I really want to emphasize the scores. So on the ergos, because this one was my least favorite to use and to hold in hand, it has hot spots here at the thumb stud cutout, and then it has a really hot spot back here. It's really sharp on the edges in the back when you get to those smaller fingers. So I really didn't enjoy that. It is neutral, but it doesn't have any jimping anywhere for the thumb to rest on. So this one here by far is my least favorite out of the ones on the table. So I did end up giving this one a 1. Now I'll talk a little bit about summaries at the end, so don't let that discourage you too much. If you have one and you love it, that's great. Just for me, out of the ones on the table, it was a 1. Now the Imperium has really good contouring and has very nice ergonomics, but it also does have a little bit of a hot spot because that jimping is poking out for the lock bar access, which makes it for really good lock bar access. But unfortunately, they didn't figure out a way to get the lock bar flush on this side and just have the cut out through to the lock bar be easy to access it without feeling it in hand. The other part is I don't know, I think it's probably just mine, there's a little bit of sharpness right here on this corner. You don't have it on this one, but you do have it on this one, and that could be just a manufacturing defect. But I did want you guys to kind of see where it's a little sharp there and a little more rounded there. So I do kind of feel that sometimes when I'm holding the knife, especially if I'm trying to choke back, or if I'm trying to pull cut through the cardboard, I really feel it then. So that's why I wanted to give that a 2 to knock down on it a little bit. Otherwise, very neutral. The contouring does help. Actually, there are ergos over the G10 variant, so I do like the ergos on that one. They are acceptable. My favorite ergos on the table are coming up, and the first one is going to be the Gannet. The Gannet absolutely gets a 3 on the ergos. Fantastic ergos, great contouring. Even though it's not shadow boxed, they did a really good job keeping it flush, even when you get around to these little contoured edges and these turns and bends on the knife. So it's super comfortable. Definitely still one of my favorite knives with the ergos. And they did a good job with that pocket clip. You can tell that it's there, but it doesn't feel hot or uncomfortable. It's very nice. And again, really good access to the lock bar, but they did a good job of hiding it behind the scale on the side. So when you go into that finger cutout, you don't feel it at all. And they did give you a tiny bit of jimping back here. But again, just the ergos are so good. I just had to give this one a 3. And then when it comes to the Kubey, doesn't matter which one you're looking at, both of these are fantastic. Now, having larger hands, I do like the 331 a touch better than the Royal, and it fits really nicely. And this poke out, or where it contours out here, or this fat tail back here, is really nice for my small hands to grab, my smaller fingers on my hand to grab onto, with really excellent ergonomics. Same can be said for the Royal. This one's a little bit more neutral, and they did still have a little bit of the jimping poking out there, but it's so minor that you really don't feel it, and you get an option to go up onto this flat spot to choke up if you really need to, but you really don't need to. If you go behind where the finger cutout is, your thumb is naturally in a position where it's going to keep anything from coming into the blade path if you're slicing through something that you're not right on the edge, like breaking down a cardboard box. But really good ergonomics, so I did give those a 3, especially because it's so good on the 331 for a larger hand. So that being said, the Sirius is at 16, the Imperium's at 20 points, the Gannet at 21 points, and the Kubey is coming up, making ground at 18 points, overtaking the Sirius. Let's talk about lock systems. I actually decided to skip this category instead of scoring all of them. I could have gone either way, I think, but I think just skipping it because they're all frame locks, and really just not taking that into consideration, because there's really no one having an advantage of the other as far as the actual system. Now, let's talk about deployment. They're all front flippers, but there's a little bit of difference going on with each one of these. Now, the Sirius is a front flipper with a thumb stud, and the way that they did their liner lock, it forced them to only have it on the one side. They put that liner lock in there with such a thin profile and trying to keep it so low to the knife that they ended up only having the one, and it is a really sharp thumb stud. It does actually kind of hurt the finger a little bit if you do it enough times, but the front flipper itself is still really, really good. So for deployment, I gave it a 2, giving it 18 points. For the Imperium, Imperium probably has one of the nice dual deployments out of all of these, and the thumb studs are really nice to use. They're very comfortable. They're perfectly placed and tuned for the detent on this knife. If you want something that has multiple deployment methods, you can thumb flick it and you can reverse flick it. But if you're a lefty, you're going to have to get the G10 variant to reverse the pocket clip. But it would be usable as a lefty if you did get the G10 variant. But unfortunately, that kind of sucks because it makes it to where you cannot get the premium carbon fiber. Regardless, for deployment, I love the deployment systems on the Imperium. I did give it a 3. With the Gannet, I struggled mightily because you can't even like reverse flick it if you wanted to get your finger in here anywhere to reverse it. It is a dedicated front flipper only, which this is a front flipper battle. It does, in my opinion, have the best jimping out of all of these on the table, but because it is a dedicated front flipper with no other options for deployment, I felt compelled to give it a 1, so I did. Unfortunately, this the front flipper battle. If I was picking which one had the best front flipper, it would be this one, but I couldn't give the Sirius a 2 for having one thumb stud and then turn around and give the Gannet a 3 just because I like how nice the front flipper is and how clean the lines are on it. Now for the Kubeys, both of them got a 3 because you have the front flipper and you have the thumb hole, which gives you a ton of options for deploying. They did do a good job with the front flipper. They did a great job with this thumb hole because you can put your thumb anywhere on here and deploy it in any number of ways. Really well done. They tuned the detent really good on these as well. So again, a 3. So now, after looking at deployment, the Sirius has 18 points. The Imperium has 23 points. The Gannet has 22. And the tag team Kubeys have 21 points. For the last category on this, because I don't want this video to be too long, we're going to talk about value. And in all honesty, depending on what you want and what your budget is what is going to determine the value. If you don't want to spend a ton of money and you're looking to spend around 50 bucks, you can get the base entry model version of the Imperium for around $50 as of the making of this video, because I know inflation is causing some of these prices to go up here lately. And you can get the G10 variant out on Amazon for 55 bucks. I checked before this video, it was still out there for $55, which is really fantastic value for what you get with this knife. Both of them offer a premium upgrade. Again, with the carbon fiber, it does drive the cost of the price up a little bit, gets it a little bit closer to that $80 mark when you get that carbon fiber variant out there. And I think there's even some micarta with Damascus out there that runs about the same price depending on what you want. But again, good variety and really nice value. Same can be said here. You can go to micarta with coated AR RPM 9 blade steel. You can even get S35VN with titanium. If you want to spend that money, if that's what you're looking at and you're interested in a front flipper. Now, the one caveat that I thought was really odd is when you get to that premium frame lock titanium with the S35VN, they got rid of the thumb stud to give the aesthetics a more clean look. And I don't know if it had anything to do with the frame lock because the thumb stud is opposite of that. I thought that was a little odd, but again, excellent value. And value, again, being what you have in your budget to spend, what you're getting in return for that hard-earned money. So I gave both of these a 3 because I think they give really good budget options at or around that $50 mark. They give you nice mid-range at around 80. Anything under $100 on my channel is still considered budget value because you get a lot for your money. It's just how much do you have to spend. Now you have ultra budget value here, I feel like at around that $50 mark. The Gannet as well gets a 3 because you get carbon fiber and you get micarta bolstered together. You have another variant that has 2 different types of carbon fiber that are really, really nice. It has like the twilled carbon fiber with the micarta. I think I said 2 different types of micarta. You get a different type of carbon fiber with the micarta. Sorry about that. You get 154 cm. You get a fantastically tuned flipper tab. The advantage to this being a flipper only is that they tuned it specifically for that front flipper, and it is tuned really, really, really well. I mean, this thing is phenomenal. If you like front flippers, I feel like you almost got to have a Gannet in your lineup. So a 3 because you get very well done ceramic bearings, micarta with carbon fiber, so you're getting double materials that look good together in my opinion, and 154 cm, which I really love. And then I feel like even with the super budget under 50, this one you can get for 40 out on Amazon as of the filming of this particular review or battle, and you get D2 G10 ceramic bearings and a reversible pocket clip, even though the pocket clip's a little and a lanyard hole. So just fantastic, and you get multiple color options. You get coated or sandblasted D2, which you just got to be careful with the sandblasted D2. Don't let the water sit on it so it doesn't get corroded. And if you dry it off completely, just make sure to put a little oil on there and just dry it to where it's a little dry to the touch. That'll be just fine. I gave them all 3s. So who's the winner? Well, the winner by my point scale is actually going to be the Imperium, which surprised me because I love the Gannet. And if I had to pick my own knife out of here, I would have picked the Gannet for that front flipper. That, to me, that knife just really is amazing. I love this knife a lot for the money, what you get, how it performs, the jimping on the flipper tab, fantastic. But in my own point scale, it was the Imperium 26. Coming in second, the Gannet at 25. Coming in third and coming from behind at 24 were the Kubey tag team, and coming in last at 21. All really, really close. And again, depending on what you like, and if you like the sleekness that they gave you here with the thumb stud and the flipper tab on the Sirius, this is going to be a really nice option. They even on the base model gave you a little copper pivot collar, and they gave you a titanium deep carry pocket clip, G10 backspacer with a lanyard. This is a really good knife, especially for around 50. If you're looking at, spending around $50, I would say probably Imperium, Sirius, and then because of the D2, the Royal. If you're looking at less than 50, this is your guy right here. You can get him for 40 bucks, and he is a fantastic value. But depending again on what you want to spend, I would say these two, it does make sense why they ended up being number 1, number 2 on my particular list. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and had fun while I ran through this particular exercise. What front flipper would you have picked out of this bunch? And what front flipper would you have picked if it wasn't in this bunch, but you were looking at spending at under 100 bucks for these particular flippers? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you're enjoying the content. I'd love to have you follow along as I try to grow the channel, and I'm very grateful for all of the support from you out there in the community. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.